Hey, thanks for joining us today. My name is Ashley Murray Kingset. I'm a senior account executive here at Cloud9 IT. Thank you for joining our webinar today. We're going to cover some CMMC. It's been a hot topic that everyone's been talking about lately. So I figured today I'd bring up one of our experts, Dickon, who is an expert in this subject. He is our ISSO here at Cloud9. He knows a little bit more. He knows more about CMMC, what it is, who it's for, why it's important. He's going to answer any questions that y'all might have at the end. Does that sound good? All right, great. So let's get started. Dickon, take it away.
Okay, let me do screen share for our presentation. So, as Ashley mentioned, we're going to talk about CMMC today. So, who is speaking today? My name is Dickon Newman. As Ashley said, I am the Cloud9 Information Systems Security Officer, the ISO. I got about 20 years of IT management and security and compliance experience. I used to work for a debt collection agency as the vice president of IT. So you can imagine specializing in debt and medical debt and call center work. There was a lot of regulation, security, and compliance requirements over that. We did everything from HIPAA to SOC 1, SOC 2, PCI, and an awful lot of security questionnaires from the hospitals. Since I've come over to Cloud9, I've become a CMMC certified professional, a CCP. That's authorized through the Cyber AB, another organization you might have heard of. And we have a GRC tool for managing CMMC compliance. We'll talk about that a little bit later. It's called FutureFeed. We were the first company to become FutureFeed certified, so we also held that accreditation as well. So who is Cloud9? Cloud9 is a managed service provider in Cleveland, Ohio. We provide IT services to small, medium, and large organizations. Some companies are small. We only have 2 employees, and we manage their entire IT for them. Some much larger. They may have their own IT and we co-manage. And we're providing additional IT support and working with them to support their IT infrastructure and systems. And then we're also starting to work with even larger companies now in the CMMC space who have kind of become overwhelmed with this beast that is CMMC, and they need a little bit of hand-holding and help in getting over the finish line. So we're a growing company. We are growing in the CMMC space. It kind of started with some of our clients in the manufacturing vertical. They were seeing in their contracts this requirement for CMMC and something called NIST 800-171. And they came to us and said, what do we do about this? How do we become compliant? We started researching it and realizing it was a much bigger beast that meets the eye. And we did our owner, Trent, decided that we should invest in that space and become experts in CMMC. And that's when I was brought on board and trained up to be CMMC. So we've been through a few CMMC assessments, which is a very scary endeavor. It's quite intimidating, but we've done it. We've gone through a few. And we also practice what we preach. So there used to be a requirement for MSPs to be certified at the same level of CMMC as our clients are. That requirement was ended up being dropped, but at Cloud9 we decided to keep that requirement. We really wanted to put best foot forward. We wanted to be one of the very few MSPs that are out there who have gone through the assessment and have the support infrastructure in place ready to support CMMC clients. We're also an RPO, which is a registered practitioner organization, I think, and a couple of RPs on staff with the Cyber AB. The Cyber AB is an organization that was put together to manage the CMMC space. So what is CMMC? There are a lot of videos out there about giving detailed history. I'll just give a very high-level summary. It goes back quite a few years. It's a security and compliance framework driven by the Department of Defense. They were getting frustrated with having data and security leaks with their contracts and subcontractors. So they needed a platform to require subcontractors to follow to protect data and to protect secrets. They decided to adopt the NIST 800-171 framework. We'll go into a little bit of detail about that in a little bit. And there was a requirement in contracts as far back as 5 to 7 years that was requiring subcontractors to follow NIST 800-171. It turned out a lot of these subcontractors were not following that, and there were still data breaches happening. So the government decided that we're going to do the CMMC program, which was created to require third-party assessment. So it requires a company, it's called a C3PAO, which is the assessing company, to come in and validate that all the controls in NIST 800-171 are being followed correctly, and that you have a security plan in place, and that the government can then trust you as one of their subcontractors. It's soon to be mandated for all DoD subcontractors. CFR 48 was recently ratified, and CMMC requirements will start showing up in contracts and RFPs as early as November 10th of this year, 2025. So what isn't CMMC? So there's a lot of misconceptions about CMMC being something like PCI, where you just follow the controls, you check a box, you cut a check, and you're done. It is not a checkbox. It's not quick, it's not easy, and it's not something you can just dump on your IT department. A typical small to medium business should plan on, you could do it as quick as 6 months, but more than likely 12 to 18 months to get CMMC ready. And it's going to affect all aspects of your company. It's not just an IT function. It can affect HR. There are hiring procedures, onboarding and offboarding that are affected. Your operations department, it's going to cover CUI workflow and how data moves through your organization. It could affect your accounting department if you're invoicing based on specific data types. Your security department, if you have one, physical or digital. Your facility will be affected, making sure that there's access control, cameras, fulfillment will be affected, quality control, legal. All departments end up getting involved in this program. So from a high level, CMMC is broken into 3 levels. It used to be 5 levels. They tried to simplify that. So level 1 covers FCI, which is federal contract information. So that's things like emails, contracts, quotes, proposals, discussions, RFPs. You're not actually touching any sensitive data, but you're talking about that sensitive data. So there's a lower level of controls there, which are self-assessed. That one is not a C3PAO assessed level. There are only 17 controls from NIST 800-171 with 59 control objectives. Each control has a couple of several objectives within them that have to be met. So level 1, most companies don't worry too much about level 1 because it's self-assessed. There are scenarios where we can break scoping into this part of your organization is level 1 and this part of your organization is level 2 to simplify things. But for the most part, the sweet spot for most companies is going to be the level 2. This is where we talk about CUI, a very common term, which means controlled unclassified information. This is going to be things like the blueprints, the CAD drawings, the documents, PowerPoint presentations, technical details. It could even be part numbers, part descriptions, could also be part, the quantity of parts being ordered. There are many different CUI categories, and they vary wildly from just basic information like I just mentioned. It could be people working for the VA hospital, and then medical records become in scope. It could be patent information, it could be research and development, it could be nuclear, it could be all kinds of things that could fall into that. Basically, it's data that the government doesn't want put out there that isn't classified. Classified is another beast with a whole set of other controls. This is like a step down from classified. Controlled, unclassified information. And this is where you get into that C3PO assessment. In NIST 800-171, there are 110 controls. And within that, there are 320 control objectives. You cannot meet a control until you meet all of the control objectives. Some of them just have 1, some of them have 6 or 7 or more. most subcontractors are going to fall into level 2. And that's where we are certified in. This is where we can help you. Level 3, most companies who need a level 3 are not looking for companies like us to help them. They're usually the big boys. They're going to be your prime subcontractors. Prime's a term used for when the Department of Defense goes directly to a large organization. So examples would be Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics. Those are kind of the big players, and they're going to handle their compliance themselves. We did have one organization ask us to quote a level 3, and we did. And it is a very, very complex beast. Not only do you have to meet level 2 and be a C3PAO certified level 2, then you have to call in DIBCAC, which is a subset of the DoD specializing in this type of compliance, and they come out and assess an additional 32 controls on NIST 800-172. Much more complex, much more expensive. Most people are not going to have to worry about it. So we're going to worry mostly about level 2. So how does Cloud9 approach a CMMC program? So what you get when you work with CMMC, with Cloud9 on CMMC, we kind of specialize in a flat rate programs. We try to take some of the guesswork out of all the hours that are involved. Usually a CMMC program at the level 2 for a moderately sized organization, we're going to budget about 400 to 600 hours of our time to help get that program ready. So with us, you get a comprehensive virtual CISO that's going to oversee, risk assess, and develop your security program for you and with you. So it's a 3-year compliance as a service program, and it's a flat rate. We front load a lot of those hours. So the first 6 to 12 months are going to be very time intensive, where we go through and develop your policies, your procedures. We meet with all those different departments, make sure that the flow, we help create your flow diagram, we create your network diagram, we make sure that you have your security baselines, your configuration baselines, all your recurring tasks, your onboarding procedures, offboarding procedures. It's very much a hand-holding program to get you all the way through. So it's a guided program, including policies, and we also pride ourselves in being flexible in our approach. We've seen some companies out there that are saying this is the only way to be compliant, and they have a very structured and rigid approach to CMMC. We try not to be. We try to reuse any invested dollars you've already spent. So if you've already purchased hardware, if you've already started your program with another company and you hit a roadblock, let's say you've already developed a policy suite and you want to reuse that, there's a lot of invested capital that we don't want to throw away. So wherever we can, we'll try to reuse those dollars and leverage them into your new program. So we try to be flexible. We'll talk about enclaves, but an enclave is a subset of your network or company, and it's mutually exclusive from the rest of your organization. So think of it as an entire IT company in a box, and that box is off to the side. And any data flowing in and out of that box doesn't necessarily flow through the rest of the company. And then we assess that enclave as a small subset. There is a benefit to enclaves. You can manage the scope, you can limit the data flow, and you can limit the complexity of how much these controls have to be added to the rest of your organization. So we've done on-premise enclaves. We have clients who have purchased hardware, and we needed to reuse that. So we made that work. And then we've done cloud-based enclaves. Obviously, Cloud9, we like to specialize in cloud infrastructure. So our CMMC program was done through Azure Gov Cloud Services, and we did a cloud-based enclave. But we also have clients that can't restrict the CUI flow to a specific subset of users or devices. So they end up having to do their whole organization. We have clients that are serverless, and they live entirely in the cloud, and all their employees work from home. That can be done. You can make that environment compliant. And we have others that have a traditional office where employees drive to the office and work. They have a traditional VPN. They have all the usual infrastructure. They have physical CUI, like paper, printouts, drawings, and they have digital CUI. So we're also helping clients manage that as well. So we try to be very flexible. We also use our GRC tool, which stands for Governance, Risk, and Compliance. That's that future feed platform that we talked about. Some people try and manage CMMC through spreadsheets and notes, as you can, but boy, you're making it hard for yourself. So by using a GRC tool that's specialized for CMMC, it's built to link all the different controls together, all your policies, your evidence, your screenshots, your responsible individuals, your flow, your diagrams. It's all designed to flow together and make it easier for your assessors to understand your organization, understand your scope environment, and get you ready for that assessment. So the GRC tool we use, we are open, we share it with you. You can see anything we're doing at any time. You can jump in and make changes, upload evidence, and be involved in the process if you want to as well. We try and be as transparent as possible. Another thing about Cloud9 is we're seeing a lot of organizations who get you assessment ready. We don't think that's enough. It's not enough to get you to the assessment and then wish you good luck and close the door. If you were going through a tax audit, you wouldn't leave your accountant out of that process. You would want your accountant there. And in the same way, you would want your security and IT professionals there with you. So we take the lead, if you want us to, in those assessments. We can help find you a C3PO. We can work through the contracts with the C3PO, and we can schedule your assessment. We can go through the assessment. Usually the few I've done, I take lead on them. I'm the one getting punched in the face by the assessor. I'm the one arguing with them on your behalf and justifying why what we've implemented meets the controls and the intent of the controls. And then, like I said at the beginning, CMMC is not a checkbox. It's not, you can't write a check and then you're done. It affects your entire organization. So much so that there is ongoing tasks that have to be done. If you're a level 2 or higher, there's going to be vulnerability scans that have to be done. There's risk assessments that have to be done. There's instant response testing that has to be done. There's change management that has to be done. We built our enclave and support structure to augment and complement that process. So we've built change management into our workflow on behalf of our clients. So when you make a request to, let's say, add a new user or change a firewall setting, we don't just make that change. We follow the CMMC rules and requirements that says that change must come in, go through a change form, and go through a review process with our security team. We do that and on your behalf, and we either approve or deny the security request. We make some of the special considerations that are required for CMMC, and we get pretty detailed. I won't get into it here. And that's one example of how we help maintain your environment throughout the program. When you get a CMMC level 2 assessment on years, once you get that certificate, after another year, you have to self-assess your entire system all over again and resubmit your score to SPURS along with your SSP, your system security plan. And you have to do it on year 3 as well. And then by year 4, you have to get another C3PO assessment. So every 3 years, you're going to have to do a reassessment. You don't want to get to that 3rd year and they look back at years 1 and 2 and realize you didn't follow any of these programs. You didn't follow your procedures. You didn't do your change management, your risk assessments, your vulnerability scans, and so on. We help do that for you, and it's built into our flat rate program. So we perform your annual self-assessments. So when we get a CMMC level 2 client onboarded, the first thing, we develop all our internal structures. We've got a project management tool that we use. And one of the first steps we do is obtain executive buy-in. When you're changing your organization, it's very, very important that we get buy-in from the top down. People are often resistant to change. They say, well, I've always done it this way. I don't understand. It's very important that the executive team understands, your C-suite understands that this is going to be a fundamental and structural change to the entire business, and we need their buy-in, because this is a very expensive program, and it will become a competitive advantage in the DoD space. There will come a time where the DoD will not accept contracts with subcontractors that are not CMMC compliant. It will become a requirement. And because of the heavy lift, there will be subcontractors who drop out of this space. And that then means it becomes a competitive advantage for your organization. So getting that executive buy-in at the beginning is very, very important in the way I like to do project management at this scale. Then we gather information. So the GRC tool is designed for CMMC, so it kind of holds your hand a little bit through the process. And a lot of what we're going to be doing is greasing the wheels for the assessment team. We want your assessment to go very, very smoothly. We don't want any surprises. We don't want any gotchas. We want the assessors to know your environment, your scoping. They want to know what's in scope, out of scope. They want to know that you've done the due diligence. And a lot of that information gathering at the beginning helps us set that up. So it's going to be, what are your cage codes? What is your SAM number in SAM.gov? If you want, we can go through a contract analysis and do a contract inventory with all the various DFARS clauses. Do you have ITAR or EIR? Do you have export controls? What are your scoping and boundaries, right? We can start structuring this so when the assessment team comes in, they already know what your organization is. They already know what types of data you're going to have. They know how big of a beast this is going to be, and they'll do their own kind of risk assessment as well. If they're dealing with submarine nuclear CUI, that's a very different assessment than if they're doing VA hospital HIPAA medical records versus legal project management, right? Those are going to be very different assessments. So making it clear to your assessment team up front is very important. So the scoping and boundaries will help document all that. We'll diagram it. You know, are you cloud-based? Are you enclave-based? Are you whole company? Do you have internal boundaries, external boundaries? And we'll document all those and get them into the GRC tool. Are you level 1, level 2? Are you both? We will also do a mock assessment. So assessments are expensive and high stakes. So we want to make sure that there aren't any gotchas when we get to the assessment. We do not want to fail that assessment. So we do a mock assessment ahead of time. We go through all the controls. We review them all internally. We can also work with C3POs to do a mock assessment with them. We have relationships and partnerships with multiple C3POs to help get that done if that's needed. Then we talked about going through the assessment and doing maintenance. So that's kind of our project plan. So that's really CMMC from a very high level. Ashley, there's a couple of links here. Do you want to talk about those a little bit?
Yeah. So as you can see, as Dickon said, we don't just hand you the information for CMMC. We actually hold your hand during that time and we get you ready for that assessment. So with these links, if you want to scan here, you can receive a free CMMC Insights Guide. And also you can also reschedule a call with one of us, with one of our team members to go over, to book a call for CMMC. We'll help you get ready for that guide. And then also on Tuesdays, every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, you can get on a call with Dickon, and we call it our CUI Lifeline call, and you can ask any question you'd like about CMMC and help you stay compliant through the assessment.
And that's whether or not you're a client with us. That's just an open call where you can come on and ask any question about CMMC. We believe that CMMC is such a big, complex beast that we want to be open and transparent as possible. So if you've got a niggling little question or something that you don't quite understand about scoping, jump on that call. It's a free resource available to you.
So it looks like we have a couple questions here, Dickon. It looks like Susan asks, how much does the assessment cost?
Oh, yeah. So assessments, they're expensive. From what we've seen for a small organization, if you have one location or even no locations, they usually start around $60,000. And that's an expense you have to budget for every 3 years. So another reason to work with your accounting department to make sure that you're planning that expense along the way.
And it looks like John, look, he asked, what should he be looking for in an MSP? That's a good question, John.
Yeah, so like I said before, we're CMMC, we're an MSP that is CMMC certified, but your CMMC likely isn't. There aren't a lot of them. There is a requirement in CMMC that your external service providers, ESPs, yeah, there's acronyms everywhere, they're in scope for your assessment. So your existing MSP has to create a shared responsibility matrix in order for you to use them as an MSP in your CMMC program. And a lot of MSPs may not even know what that is. So few questions we like to give people to ask their MSP. Are they CMMC certified? They may not be. Do they have a GRC tool? Are they open about it? If they're being guarded about what tool they're using, they're probably doing it on spreadsheets. Do they have CMMC certified professionals on staff, CCP, such as myself? You could also accept a CCA, which is a CMMC certified assessor. Assessors and professionals, they can do the same work, but an assessor can be in the assessment teams for the C3POs. And are they aware that they are in scope for CMMC? So they have to follow all these controls. They're an extension of your organization. So understanding that will tell you whether they're ready.
That's a great one. And then, Alex actually had a really good one here. How can I have work from home employees that touch CUI?
You can, yeah, I alluded to that before. We have one organization that we're working with right now. Well, all of the ones we work with have some home workers to some extent, but one of them is completely remote, 100%. They have employees all over the country. They don't even have an official office. The address for the headquarters is the owner's house. So you can have employees work from home and still access CUI, but we have to be very, very careful about it. You got to have strong administrative procedures and controls. There are some ways that we can manage the environment and keep their home out of scope. If you don't do anything, the home is probably in scope, and they're going to have a lockable door, cameras, a burglar alarm system, all different kinds of things. If they're printing at home and they're printing CUI, it gets a little ugly. The easiest way is to make sure that you're not printing at home. The easiest way is to do a cloud-based enclave with a VDI solution, but there are other ways to do it. It can be done.
Wow, thank you, Dickon. That's all the time we have for questions today. It looks like we're a little bit over time. I really appreciate everyone's time today. Please take a second. If you have any questions, feel free to put into the chat real quick. If you want to take us, go ahead and go back to that one. If you want to go back to that one slide, so they want to schedule with me real quick. If they want to schedule real quick with us, they can go ahead and scan that for us with just Dickon. We'd be more than happy to meet with you. But thank you for your time today, folks. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Bye.